I would like to start this video by asking a serious question. Has Year 3 of Destiny 2 seemed like a major case of deja vu? And I don't mean deja vu in the sense of how the story's progressing, but more in how the state of the game appears to be piss poor at the moment. Now, the reason I ask this question is because this is exactly how I feel about Destiny 2 at the moment. The game appears to be retreading old ground and making the exact same mistakes that made Year 1 of Destiny 2 such a shit show. And quite frankly, I am out of patience with this direction. So, what exactly is it that I have a problem with? Well, all of my grievances with this game fall into three distinct categories: the narrative, the gameplay, or the community. So, let's tackle these categories one by one, starting with the narrative. When Year 3 began with the launch of Shadowkeep, the narrative had so much going for it. The darkness had finally arrived on our doorstep. Crota's hidden swarm had finally returned, stronger than ever thanks to the nightmares created by the darkness. We found out that the Black Garden is the birthplace of all life in the Destiny universe, and it was revealed that the Vex were created by the darkness to serve as their enforcers, imposing order to counter the chaos sown by the Traveler. These events and revelations were fantastic additions to the game, and with the darkness now here, everything was turned upside down, or at least it should have been. After the unceremonious return and demise of the Undying Mind, the game has just completely forgotten that there's a pyramid ship underneath the moon's surface. Once Season of Dawn launched in December, story-wise the moon serves no purpose anymore. The greatest threat to humanity's digital existence is just sitting there, unattended to, and poor Eris has to listen to Omnigul scream in her ear weekly. While we do what exactly? Oh yeah, rewrite history, consequences be damned. I mean, what was Bungie thinking? Did they go see Avengers Endgame and try to think of a way to make a time travel plot work in Destiny? Well, memo to them, it didn't work that well in Avengers Endgame, so I don't know why they thought it would work here. Don't get me wrong, the revival of Saint 14 in Season of Dawn is one of the highlights of the season, and his involvement in the remainder of Season of Dawn actually added some much needed charm that had been missing in Shadowkeep. However, all the time travel shenanigans, Saint 14's resurrection, as well as the Red Legion's activities at the Sundial should have been secondary to the events on the moon. It would have been simple for Eris to call us to the moon either the first or second week of Season of Dawn and give a text blurb about how the pyramid has mysteriously gone silent and that she has no idea what's going on. And then when we unlocked the corridors of time, Eris could have called us back to the moon and gave us a quest to ask us to investigate the corridors for a future, showing us what the pyramid and the darkness are up to. And then that could have been how we ended up finding our coffin in the corridors of time and initiating the Bastion quest. But no, all this narrative potential was wasted, and Season of the Worthy is an even more egregious example of this. The Almighty being set on a crash course for Earth has nothing to fucking do with the pyramid on the moon. Nothing! I mean, how difficult is it to write a few blurbs into a season that's all about restoring Rasputin's defenses and saying, hey, this crisis with the Almighty is a perfect opportunity to test out Rasputin's network in the event of another Skyshock event. That's all the writers had to do, but no! That makes too much fucking sense. And once again, for another season, the moon and the pyramid and the darkness are all left in the dust, just hanging. And right now, that's where the Year 3 narrative sits, because the story's pretty much frozen in place until the Season Pass players fully upgrade all the bunkers and blow up the Almighty. Which, by the way, I am not participating in because I did not buy Season of the Worthy because this season is fucking stupid. Now, there's only one season left this year, and right now, I have little to no hope that this narrative is going to get any better. We're probably going to have to wait till the next expansion in September to to get a new direction and hopefully get some better writing. But I'm not holding my breath. And so those are my issues with the narrative of Year 3 so far. So it's time to move on to my next category of grievances, the gameplay. I would like to quickly remind everybody what a Guardian is supposed to be. Guardians are supposed to be space wizard demigods that are so powerful that enemies are either in fear of us, in the case of the Vex, or they try so hard to concoct some grand plan to kill us only to fail spectacularly, like in the case of the Cabal. Being a Guardian is supposed to be a power fantasy. We are strong, but not invincible. And while we can bend the laws of physics, we cannot break them. So, if this is what a Guardian is supposed to be, why are we so goddamn feeble? Most of us are 1000 power level or higher by this point, but it sure doesn't feel like it. The most rudimentary of yellow bar enemies this year can just one-shot you if they want. Champions can just breathe on you and you die. And the power levels of several activities are 20 to 30 power levels ahead of what you can achieve through gear score. Not to mention, the power delta curve right now is fucked. An enemy in PvE or another player in PvP like an Ironbender, if they're one power above you, they will fuck you up. I don't remember there ever being a set of patch notes earlier this year that says we've gave all the enemies Saiyan DNA. I mean really, it's laughable how strong the enemies are and how easily we are killed now. You only have to go play a Seraph Tower public event to see this for yourself. Now, the seasonal artifacts were introduced to try to offset some of this increased difficulty, but it was a pointless gesture. Bonus power does little to nothing to help you, and artifact mods are uninteresting or too weak. I mean really, who in their right mind is gonna go walk up to an unstoppable champion and punch them to try to stagger them? Who? So, the seasonal artifact is pretty much worthless. What about the new Armor 2.0 system? It's shit. That's what it is. Sure, you can put on whatever perks you want onto the armor provided you have enough energy to do so, but what good does it do when most of the perks are pretty much nerfed from their original counterparts? The Armor 1.0 perks for ammo finders, scavengers, reserves, as well as unflinching aim and dexterity for weapons, they all worked 2 to 3 times better than they do now. The only positive thing about Armor 2.0 were the stats on the armor, specifically the reintroduction of intellect, discipline, and strength. You could keep the stat rolls and stat distributions intact, but remove the energy system and go back to random rolls, and it'd be perfect. But instead what we have now is a heavy-handed form of bad luck protection. But what good is the bad luck protection when all the perks are shit? So, that's what I think about the armor. What about the weapons? To be honest, I don't have many complaints about weapons right now, but I do have a complaint about an upcoming proposal on what to do to weapons in the form of weapon retirement. I think the whole idea of weapon retirement is shameful, and I'll explain why. Destiny 2 to date has made a point of any weapon that you've earned at any point during the game's life, you can bring it forward with you. But now there's an issue with power creep, where Bungie is being forced to one-up themselves on a constant basis and keep making newer weapons that are stronger and stronger and stronger. Until now, we have some weapons that are meta-breaking. This issue is self-inflicted, and what is Bungie's solution to the problem? Retiring weapons. Essentially reneging on the original promise that you could bring all your weapons forward with you and keep them up to date, and just say, nah, forget it, if the weapon's more than 9 months old, you can't infuse it anymore. This is bullshit. I didn't create this power creep problem, neither did the community. Bungie did. And if they didn't want this to happen, then what they should have did in the first place is that every time a new expansion comes out in September, they impose a hard power cap on all the legendary weapons that can be obtained during that year at the highest possible power for that year. So, using year 2 of this game as an example, they could have set it up so that all the legendary weapons from year 2 would have been hard capped at 750. Bungie had actually done this previously back in D1 when we went from House of Wolves to the Taken King, and I personally do not recall there ever being a big fuss about it. But that was D1 in the Taken King. This is Destiny 2. Things are different. Bungie should uphold their original promise that you could bring your weapons forward through the whole lifespan of the game, and then, not this coming September in 2020, but the September of 2021, if they do plan on doing Destiny 3, then they can retire all the loot and start over. Not before. So, let's kill this whole discussion about weapon retirement and never speak of it again. I've spent a while talking about the gear. Let's circle back around to power level, how strong the enemies are, and some of the endgame activities. First, let's talk about every single activity that has champions in it. This includes Nightfall the Ordeal, Nightmare Hunts, the new Seraph Tower public event, and Garden of Salvation. The champions that appear in these activities are abominations, and they should not be in the game. Each champion type takes a very specific ammo type to defeat, and they're restricted by your seasonal artifact, which will only let you put them into certain guns. So not only is Bungie forcing you to play how they want you to play, anytime a champion shows up in these activities, they grind your momentum to a screeching halt. You have to stop everything that you're doing in order to deal with them, otherwise they will kill you. Part of what makes a game fun to play is the fluidity in which it is played, and fighting champions isn't fluid. They're an inconvenience that cannot be circumvented. So I would love to see these enemies just removed from the game entirely. Now, as for the Nightfall the Ordeal and the Nightmare Hunts in which they appear and have multiple difficulties, why are there 4 difficulties? There should just be 1. The Legend difficulty, which is always set at the powerful gear cap for the season, should be the standard, and you should have a choice between matchmaking or no matchmaking. Adept, Hero, and Master difficulties should be removed from the game, mainly because Adept and Hero are too easy, and the Master difficulty tends to be 10 to 30 points higher than you can achieve, making it so that the enemies have a perpetual advantage over you, and it's not fair. Also, let's talk about the modifiers on these activities. On Master difficulty, is there really a reason that you need 8 debuffs applied to you? Seriously, that's ridiculous. Destiny 1 Nightfalls had it perfect. The level requirement was always at the max for the powerful gear of that release, and there were 5 modifiers. 3 would hinder you, 1 would help both sides, and 1 would be there to help you specifically. This helped to balance the difficulty and make it less of an irritating slog to get through. But hey, what is balance, right? Getting shot to fucking shit right now, that's balanced. You gotta switch your balls off for that 100k to get that pinnacle drop, right? Yeah, let's talk about pinnacle gear for a moment. Pinnacle gear and the whole 10-point pinnacle climb after powerful just needs to go. It needs to leave the game now, just right now, gone, get. All the 10-point pinnacle climb does is just pad out the game's content for the season. It makes it so you have to play 6 to 8 weeks extra on top of what you would have already done. It's not necessary, it's a waste of time, it makes the game more complicated. Let's just not have it in the game at all. Cut off our power, each release or season, whatever, at the powerful cap. Just stop it there, no bonus power, no pinnacle gear, nothing. Just cut it off there. There was nothing wrong with the system the way it was before. I don't know why we needed to give some incentive to go over the powerful cap. I don't get it. It just needs to get gone. And speaking of other things that do need to get gone, and I promise this is my last point about gameplay, they need to start phasing out raids and focusing more on dungeons. Raids have just gotten to the point that they're only getting enjoyed by a very small percentage of the community, about 10 to 15% of the community. It is one of the most inaccessible activities in the game. Dungeons take the complexity and length of a raid, but make it so it's 3-man instead of 6. It's far more accessible, and in some cases, the gear's even better than the raids. Like in the Pit of Heresy, you get a guaranteed masterwork piece of armor when you complete it for the first time each week. That Masterwork Dreambane armor is far superior to any piece of armor you can get from Garden of Salvation. So what's the point of playing Garden of Salvation? For the weapons? The same weapons that are barely better than the other legendaries in Shadowkeep? Pass. Also, Good luck getting a fire team together for a raid at this point. LFG's dead. I mean, seriously, go look at Reddit R fire teams. There's no one. It's dead. It's a ghost town. So, more dungeons, less raids. Get it, got it good. So, I'm done talking about the gameplay. I pretty much just point out damn near everything's wrong. So, let's just move on to the final category of grievances I have, which is the community. Now, your first thought is, well, what's wrong with the community? What's your problem with them? Here's the thing. I don't hate everyone in the Destiny community. There are some legitimately good people out there with integrity. Both from the elite player tier down to the casual player tier. There are good people out there. The problem I have is with the gatekeeping assholes and the people who bitch all the time because they're being killed by something. Now, I've spoken up several times prior on this channel about raid gatekeeping, and I thought it was wrong. And I continue to say that it's wrong. But man, oh man, did the gatekeeping not come back in full force? Not on the raid side of the game, mind you, this season, but with the return of Trials of Osiris and the gatekeeping of the activity as a whole. If you've been tuned in to any of the Trials drama that's been going on since the second weekend of Season of the Worthy, you would know that elite players have been using casual players as lambs to the slaughter for tokens. Elite players have been abusing Trials of Osiris' new matchmaking system, which only matches you with players who are at your exact position on your scorecard, to reap hundreds or sometimes thousands of tokens a weekend just to go turn them in at Saint 14 for basically free rewards. Every time the elite players win a match against casuals, they just keep wiping their cards so they stay at 0 wins. The casuals get no chance. And now, what has happened is, all the casuals have left Trials. It's just the elite players now. It's going to make it a lot harder for the elites to get tokens now, but still, this shouldn't have happened in the first place. And any time that a part of this game is just opened up to some form of malicious abuse, these gatekeeping assholes will make an appearance. And if you deign to try to blow the whistle on any of these assholes' activities, they will show up on social media to bully and harass you. You guys suck. Seriously, you fucking suck. You know there's a problem when someone like Fallout Plays on YouTube has to tippy-toe around you. It's wrong. These are the people that if I were Bungie and I caught them in the act doing this, I would ban their accounts. These gatekeepers have been allowed to control the game for far too long. It needs to end. And as for the other elite players or the ones that whine and bitch all the time just because you keep getting killed by one gun, shut up. I remember back in Season of the Undying, all everybody ever bitched about was the Recluse. Wah, Recluse is killing red bars too easy. Wah, I got killed by Recluse again in PvP. Wah, wah, wah. You want to know what the truth is? The glory system got revamped in Shadowkeep. It made it so much easier for casual players to get the Recluse. And the moment that happened and the casuals can actually go get Recluse, here come the elite assholes complaining that they're getting killed by it. And then telling Bungie to nerf every pinnacle weapon in the game into the exotic slot. These people want to take all of your work in progress, all your hard work and time you put into the game, and destroy it, just because they can't control it anymore. Well, boo-hoo, sucks to be you, suck it up. Everybody who bought this game should have equal opportunity to play the content and get the gear they want. And those of you who disagree with that, to hell with you. I'm personally looking forward to the potentiality of Destiny 3, because not only will we get the loot refresh I talked about earlier, we would get a player refresh, which means we could get some new blood into this community, and maybe we could destroy some of these bullshit practices. One can hope. One can hope. Well, that's all I've got on the community, so that pretty much means my rant here is over. Now, I would like to end the video on this note, which is, I love Destiny. I know that I've been very critical and highly negative of it because of the state it's in, but I love this franchise. I only want to see the best for it. And it's thanks to both Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 that I have met individuals that I've become friends with, and I hope I stay friends with for many years to come. But it's because I love Destiny that I have to be harsh on it. I have to show it tough love, and if there's bullshit going on, I have to call it out. Now, perhaps you disagree with the things I said in this video, and you are more than welcome to agree or disagree. In fact, I encourage you to comment in the comment section down below and let me know. Civilized discourse is one of the few ways that we can get the message across that this game could be better. A lot better. So please, use the comments, make your voice known. And do not be one of those cowards I discussed earlier that hides behind insults and abuse. We're better than that. And with that, I think I will leave things here. If you stuck through to the end, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.